Welcome back inside the Chamber of Truth with your co-host Leak and Josh. We back at it after a big weekend of boxing here on July 13th. We are just coming off the Ring Magazine, who was back at it. What a great card. This was actually one of the better cards of the year with how the fights turned out and what was on the card. I think it lived up to the expectations in my opinion. We want to start off kicking it off with the co-main event, which was Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. A big, highly anticipated fight that we all been waiting for at the 135-pound division. The fight that was set to give Shakur the name and style that he needed for him to prove to himself that he can be entertaining, that he can put on a great performance against a high-output, top contender, elite-level fighter. And I believe he did so. So Shakur now got the decision. He's now at 24-0 with 11 KOs over William Zepeda, who's now 33-1 with 27 KOs. Josh, kick it off for me. What did you see from Shakur? What would you grade his performance, and what did you thought he did well?
Shakur's performance, first and foremost, was an absolute A++. To be honest, first and foremost, This is the best win that any fighter, any top fighter at 135 pounds has right now. William Zepeda was 33-0 with 27 KOs across the board. He was the number one consensus 135-pound contender across all organizations. That's the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO. All four organizations had this man number one. And with all due respect, Shakur Stevenson, per his last few performances, they weren't too exciting except the Padley fight. But with all due respect, the Padley fight had some context to it. But nonetheless, Shakur got a KO. But people were wanting to see somebody, a threat to Shakur. That's what we've all been basically waiting to see. I've been believing in Shakur's power, but we just wanted to see somebody who was a threat. William Zepeda with 33-0 with 27 KOs is an absolute threat. And many had him winning this fight. Honestly, man, Shakur Stevenson handled him beautifully. William Zepeda is a pressure, come-forward fighter who throws 100 punches plus per round, has the highest output in boxing, and simply overwhelms his opponents just because of sheer volume of punching, along with his punching power. Shakur Stevenson didn't do what a lot of people thought he was going to do. A lot of people thought he was going to Tom and Jerry, thought he was going to run away, thought he was going to use his legs, the De Los Santos fight, the Jeremiah Nakatia fight. He didn't do none of that. He satisfied the fans. He stayed in the pocket. He was rolling shots, slipping shots, moving his head, slipping and moving and ducking and weaving and all of that, and countering off shots, using good distance management, using good footwork and punching off of angles and using his jab. And to satisfy the fans, he actually took a few shots himself.
He did. The most punches landed on him in a fight in his career. Zepeda also the most punches ever landed on him in his career.
He did that. He did that to please y'all, in my opinion, because I don't think he really needed to get hit with all that. He just did that to please the fans. But either way, he stayed in the pocket, used his shoulder roll, was slipping and rolling shots. And even when he was getting hit, I don't think he was getting hit with the full power of the shots. Because like I said, he was rolling with the shots.
I gotta jump in and cut you off, because the casual fan in me, I do still look at Twitter and see what the fans are in the media outlets online are saying. And so as soon as Shakur gets hit by a few punches, here comes the Tank fan base. Oh, he can't fight Tank like this. If that's Tank got him in the corner like that, you know what's gonna happen. So first you criticize Shakur for not fighting this style of fight, and as soon as he gives it to you and takes a punch, now it's, he can't do that against Tank. You gotta make up your mind. Y'all can't do that. This is the type of shit that makes you lose credibility as a fan and waters down boxing. Like, do you want him to fight an exciting, entertaining style of fight, or do you want him to do the thing that he's going to continue to do and outpoint you, and then it'd be a little more boring? You can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways, brother.
Now, I thought he did some things personally that were a little bit more dangerous in this fight. He put himself in harm's way in times. He had himself in the corner. He had himself up against the ropes, but he was executing the shoulder roll to a high level and countering off it, which worked for him.
And he was also using that jab and that 1-2, and he was also using a lot of nice left hooks.
A lot of left hooks. He landed a lot of power punches in this fight.
And those left hooks and those left hands made Zepeda lock up that left hand himself and keep it there for defense. And honestly, he discouraged Zepeda.
Yeah.
When the fighter is throwing that many punches per round, you have to discourage him somehow from throwing that many punches and let him know there is a consequence of throwing these this amount of punches that don't have any placement to them. Shakur was rolling with shots, rolling with them, countering on him, going under with him, bobbing and weaving, doing a lot, and discouraged Zepeda. Zepeda at one point you could tell was discouraged from throwing a bunch of shots because he knew everything he's throwing is not really landing on Shakur. Shakur is just basically rolling and taking the power of these shots and countering him.
To the point that you
making
just
him
said,
miss, making him
Shakur
pay.
throwing a lot of hooks in this fight.
Absolutely.
I think that was,
That's
to your point of him trying to keep to gain the respect of Zepeda. It's like, if you keep coming in here, I'm not just going to jab you. I got to touch you up a little bit to keep you off me.
And tactically, what that does is you keep throwing that left hand, that forces Zepeda to keep his left hand up for protection. So that was a great tactical move.
And we saw a lot of combination punching from the both of them. Shakur in this fight landed 199 power punches to 96 jabs, which is not just rare for him because he didn't fight this fight the same as he usually fights, where he controls the center of the ring, manages distance with the jab, keeps you off him. He didn't do that. He really let Zepeda, I won't even say let, because Zepeda forced his way in. And as he forced his way in, Shakur just let him do what he do, and then would counter, would put himself in the shell and work off of it. But he had to throw those power punches to keep pace. He wasn't going to be able to just jab him and keep him at distance because Zepeda wasn't allowing that to happen either.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, that you don't really have to go too much deep into it. It's just a masterful boxer who basically, like I said, it was a great fight. I would go rewatch the fight tonight if I could. But
I think I will rewatch it since I got it on DAZN.
He trying to be funny. But no, it was beautiful. Like I said, man, he really sat in the pocket, countered well, used his jab, threw a lot of straight left hands to the body, to the head, left hooks. It was a beautiful performance. I don't think he's gonna stay in the pocket with a lot of other punchers, moving forward in the future.
Yeah, in the post fight presser, he someone asked him, that reporter asked him, "Is this the type of fight you want to fight moving forward?" He said, "Hell no." He said, "I took more damage than I would like to." He said, "I'm gonna get back to my boxing, but I did want to give the fans a show and show y'all I could do it." So I think he will incorporate
absolutely, he's right,
in his game more at times, but you don't fight every fighter the same. So
you sure don't.
I don't think you're gonna see him just doing that just to do it.
Absolutely.
In the future. But what you want to see next for him? Schofield, Tank,
somebody of name. That's all. The best fight he can fight. Anybody. I'd like to see Schofield. To be honest with you, I think Schofield would be a good one.
I think it's gonna be Schofield just because Tank's got other things going on,
and they have the background with the Schofield thing too, and they can build that. So I think that's gonna be a good one, especially with Schofield. The time is now. Because Schofield just got that big win, and you can use that for marketability. So you might as well promote that fight.
Shakur Stevenson versus
Floyd Schofield for the WBC lightweight title of the world.
And Schofield Senior already making videos
already.
But Shakur's ass cheeks.
We want Shakur.
So great fight for Shakur. I was happy to see it.
We want Shakur Stevenson.
All right, we gonna move on to the main event of the night, which was the hometown kid, the New York Puerto Rican Edgar Berlanga, who walked out with Fat Joe and Remy Ma leaned back live in New York.
Don't do that.
And got KO'd viciously by Hamza Shiraz.
Edgar Berlanga 23-2 with 23-1.
Two now.
23-1. He's 23-2 now with 18 KOs versus Hamza Shiraz, who was 21-0. With one draw to Carlos Adames, which honestly
he lost that fight.
He lost that fight, but Turkey protected him. But good old Papa Turkey.
But he bounced back. Hamza Shiraz now moved up. That fight against Adames was at 160.
Now 22-0.
He moved up to 168 for this fight for Berlanga. This is his debut at 68, and Berlanga. Hamza put on a hell of a performance. Berlanga didn't do the things he needed to do to prevent that either. But Hamza did what he was supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Now, we watched this fight together. I just can't fathom how you stand in front of a 6'3" opponent and let him throw 4 uncontested hooks at your face without you moving, lifting a hand, ducking, slipping, anything.
That was kind of crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, just to kind of give you an idea of optics, Edgar Berlanga is about 6'1". A little bit more mass, but
6'1", 73-inch reach. Hamza 6'3", 75 inch.
Hamza's about 6'4". Hamza ain't no 6'3", with a 78-inch reach. Hamza is a very big man. Ladies and gentlemen, for Edgar Berlanga to do any kind of damage, you would have had to get inside of Hamza's reach and obviously punch from inside and go from there. With all due respect, I'm very disappointed in Edgar Berlanga. First and foremost, it's okay to get knocked out in the sport of boxing. It's happened. It's a part of the sport. And when you're trying to be great and you're trying to pursue things, sometimes things happen and you do get knocked out. It happens. And I hope Edgar Berlanga, first and foremost, was okay, because that was a very brutal knockout, first and foremost. But with that being said, I'm very disappointed in Edgar Berlanga, because his camp seemed like, or his trainer did not seem like they gave him any kind of game plan. I saw him stand right in front of a man who literally you can't stand in front of. And don't get me wrong, Edgar Berlanga started off very well. Started off using his jab. Was using his jab a lot more than Hamza Shariz and made it a point to do that. That's very good. Started landing a 1-2 behind that. That's very good. But it comes to a point where you can't just continually stand in front of Hamza Shariz, especially when he started getting hit. Right before he got hurt with that devastating left hook that started off that knockdown, he got hit with a couple of shots to the point where you didn't need to get hit with these shots. You got hit with these shots because you were staying in his punching range and you weren't doing anything.
Standing right there, and Hamza hooked off on that man like they was on 119th
Absolutely.
Street.
And the problem, and the thing that makes me a little disappointed is Edgar Berlanga comes from the United States boxing amateur system and actually fought for USA Boxing as an amateur. Where was your lateral movement? Where was your punching off of angles? Where was your stepping outside of his left hook and maybe using some fancy footwork? Where was maybe the Mike Tyson switch and switching with the stances and everything, trying to get inside?
It wasn't there.
It wasn't there. He showed flashes of head movement, but you got to realize, man, that's Hamza Shariz. You got to make it a lot dirtier. You got to make it a lot tougher. You can't do that. When he got hit with that left hook, he stood right in front of Hamza Shariz with his hands down. And the thing is, if you got your hands down and your face exposed, you got to be bobbing and weaving or ducking and moving or doing something, trying to roll with shots. You kept your head there, unfortunately. And that's the problem I have, is like, maybe Hamza Shariz had more talent than you and was going to beat you either way. But you could have lasted another 3 to 4 to 5 rounds just using lateral movement with your feet and punching off of angles, and using quick twitch movement with your feet, trying to get inside, keeping your hand, doing anything you can to move that head, keeping your hands up. Hamza Shariz is 6'3", 6'4" with a 78-inch reach. There's no way you can fight it from the outside.
I think this was a big-time lesson for Edgar Berlanga.
Absolutely, and I think Edgar Berlanga needs to change his trainer, with all due respect.
A big-time humbling for Edgar Berlanga, and also his fan base and supporters. It's one thing to sell a fight. That's great. But to be a superstar in the sport of boxing, you have to back it up with the show in the ring. There's more to the show than just selling the fight. You want to make it rain on an all-time great like Oscar De La Hoya and throw shit at him in a press conference.
Oscar De La Hoya won championships in 5 different weight classes, and you're throwing money on somebody who actually
throwing wigs, throwing thongs,
who helped push the sport forward.
All of that, and then you come out and put on this type of performance.
Disrespectful.
You deserve for Oscar to get on his private jet when he leaves the venue and laugh and troll and make videos at you.
I absolutely
There's a
agree.
reason that Oscar can hop on a PJ as soon as he leaves the venue. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's done things to get to that point. Yeah, you've had a couple good fights, but you were a top-ranked ESPN push. Once they gave you your original, having you fight for free, you haven't really showed up since then. You haven't showed up and showed that you were an elite fighter since then. Canelo just outclassed you, dropped you with a hook. And then you came back, and now you got destroyed by Hamza with more hooks. So we haven't seen Berlanga take the next steps to being a superstar. Just because he has the ice and runs around with rap stars doesn't mean that he's a superstar in the sport of boxing. So when you do that type of showmanship in the lead up to the fight,
I absolutely
you have
agree.
to back it up.
You have to back it up.
So
you
I
can't
don't feel
that.
bad that he got knocked out in the format that he did. He was very, very disrespectful in the lead up to Hamza, to his camp,
Facts.
talking crazy, So, and then he got his ass beat. So, humbling for him, in my opinion. We'll see what he does next. But it now looks like he's not the superstar that people picked him out to be. We'll see how he bounces back. I think you're right. He needs a new team, or at least trainer. But we'll see what happens next for him. Hamza is now going to be a contender at 68. Turkey Al-Sheikh, obviously Hamza's his boy. We know that. He wants him to fight Canelo. So, obviously that's going to be pending the Crawford-Canelo fight in September. We'll see what's next for him as well.
Absolutely.
Good performance for Hamza, though.
Hamza may get the Canelo fight, man. Good for him.
Yeah, he might. We just got to see if Canelo continues to fight after September. So, but let's move on. We're making good time, so we'll keep it rocking. Next week is this is a back-to-back. July is crazy. Back-to-back weekends in boxing with multiple big-time fights. Next week, we have the return.
Tell us.
One of the all-time greats. and Manny Pacquiao.
8 division
Fighting
champion.
for a title.
In 2025.
At welterweight, 147 of WBC championship versus Mario Barrios. Now Pacquiao, the last time we saw him fight professionally was 4 years ago. He lost a decision to Yordenis Ugas in August of 2021. Barrios is just coming off of a split draw with Abel Ramos on the Netflix Mike Tyson.
Not Jesus Ramos.
Last November.
Abel Ramos.
So, I think we can all agree that Barrios leaves a little bit to be desired as a welterweight champion. He's okay. He's a good fighter. He's not really. It doesn't seem like he should be holding a belt this long at welterweight.
No.
It's Pacquiao the man to take it from him.
Let me put it this way. Manny Pacquiao, 62-8 with 39 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't give a damn what y'all saw with that exhibition with that very talented kickboxer. You got to realize, ladies and gentlemen, kickboxers, you know what kickboxing is? Kickboxing, nigga. It is the same thing, but there's kicks in it. It's the same sport, just kicking as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that kickboxer had very good front foot movement, quick twitch athleticism, and was going in and out and hitting Manny. Manny didn't train for that fight in that exhibition. I don't give a damn what you see. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this title might be up for grabs. Now, Mario Barrios, in my opinion, Mario Barrios is 29-2 with 18 KOs. His only losses are to Tank Davis, and his only other losses is to Keith Thurman. And with all due respect, he did very well in both of those fights himself. But with that being said,
he also did defeat Ugas, who's the one who beat Pacquiao.
Yordenis Ugas, which is a very big win. The biggest win of his career. Beat Batir Akhmedov, who was a very top-tier 140-pound contender. Has very big fights with Oscar Duarte, Alberto Puello, which he lost by split decision. So Mario Barrios is a very proven champion, and he should be at this level, and I am going to say he should be holding a belt. He's been at this level for a very long time. So, not a long time. He's been at this level for about, he is a long time. 10 years is a long time. He's been at this level since 2015. So, you got to give him some credit for that. But with that being said, his last performance versus Abel Ramos, the uncle of Jesus Ramos. Abel Ramos was once a top-tier contender at 147 pounds. And, he was a French contender when they put him on the Netflix card against, Mario Barrios and on the Mike Tyson undercard. And that was supposed to be a showcase for basically Mario Barrios, a showcase of the world who he was, to kind of make this fight coming up a lot bigger, because I heard rumors about this fight happening a long time ago, about 6 months ago. But with all due respect, Abel Ramos almost upset and beat Mario Barrios, and so much that it was a draw. So obviously Mario Barrios continues to keep his title. He's still the 140-pound champion at the WBC, so you still got to give him his credit. But there is a reason Manny Pacquiao decided to come out and fight him. We seen chinks in the armor.
This fight was made while Jaron Ennis was a title holder at 147, while Amata Stanionis was a contender at 147.
And with all due respect, Abel Ramos is a good fighter. He's been at French contender to contender status for a while. He is a good fighter that's going to give you a fight. But with all due respect, Manny Pacquiao was not Abel Ramos. Manny Pacquiao is a 8-division world champion in 8 different weight classes. That has never been done, and most likely will never be replicated throughout boxing history, basically. I honestly think, and you know what? I said no way. Mario Barrios is not going to let this embarrassment happen. He's going to train as hard as he can, but with all due respect, Manny Pacquiao is going to train just as hard, and if not harder, to prove that he's not too old and that he's not just addicted to the sport of boxing, that he can actually do this. People are calling Manny Pacquiao a fool to his face for trying to do this. You don't think he's motivated? I think this title's up for grabs, and that's why I'm so excited for this fight, to be honest with you. I'm a lot excited than a lot of other people, because the thing is, if Manny Pacquiao pulls this off, he'll be the oldest champion in the sport of boxing to ever win a world title.
All I can say is there's a reason he didn't say, hey, I want to come back and fight Jaron Ennis.
Absolutely.
I don't want to come back and fight Brian Norman. I want to
come back and fight the dude that almost lost his title on Netflix. Basically.
Yeah.
The one with defensive flaws. Yeah. The one that got knocked out by a southpaw already.
Tank Davis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But hey, with all due respect, PBC would welcome that, because if he does pull it off, PBC has a huge fight on their hands with one of the champions at 147.
You think that if Manny Pacquiao pulls us off, he's going to continue to fight and defend that title, actually?
Oh, I think he's going to do a big fight.
I think Manny needs some money, man.
I think with Devin Haney.
I think Manny needs some money.
After Devin Haney beats Brian Norman, the fans will call for Manny Pacquiao versus Devin Haney.
I don't know if that's going to happen because I don't know if Devin Haney's going to win that fight.
It's okay. But I know you don't believe.
Moving forward, there's one more huge fight next weekend. Heavyweight division. Undisputed Alexander Usyk defending all of the titles versus Daniel Dubois in a rematch of a very controversial fight that they had just 2 years ago.
Absolutely. When
Daniel Dubois landed a low body shot that ended up being counted as a low blow that would have been a knockout over Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk came back, recovered from it, took his time, and ended up getting the stoppage over Dubois. Since then, Dubois has been on a rampage to get back to this fight, has gone undefeated in that time, defeating the likes of Jarrell Miller, Flip Ergovich, Anthony Joshua, and now he's back for that rematch to get a shot at all the titles against Usyk. So a huge fight going down in Wembley Stadium in the UK. They're going to do 100,000 in the building. Oh, this is the one we should have went to. They're going to do 100,000 in the building.
And you know what's crazy? This would have been cheaper to go to.
For real.
I ain't gonna lie. We might have should have went to this. We can still. No, we can't.
Nah, not this quick. I can't.
We can't.
But we should have. We should have planned for this. I don't know why we didn't think about that.
Well, how about this? The next big UK fight.
I want to go to the UK so bad, bro, for a fight. But we'll get the next one. If whoever wins this, if there's another fight,
the Vegas fight.
Vegas gonna deliver. But I want to go to UK. We've been there in Vegas, so. But we'll get there.
But we ain't been in Vegas with Canelo there.
Usyk versus Dubois. Do you see this playing out similarly or differently than the original fight?
This is to me is a 65-35 fight. I think Daniel Dubois is a very live dog. Usyk Dubois 23-0 with 14 KOs. Daniel Dubois 22-2 with 21 KOs. But Daniel Dubois is coming off his career best win. Remember, Usyk didn't knock out Anthony Joshua. Daniel Dubois did.
In the 5th round, by the way. It didn't take him that long.
It didn't take him two fights either with Alexander Usyk. But and with all due respect, Daniel Dubois should have beat Alexander Usyk.
I have to say, I thought it was a knockout clean. I watched that fight in real time.
That was a knockout, ladies and gentlemen.
It was a
body shot.
I'm sorry, it was a knockout.
It was on the belt. It was clean. But Alexander Usyk deserves an Emmy Award. He deserves an Oscar for that. He put on a hell of a performance. and of course the ref was paid, and that ref does get a lot of jobs now on ESPN. I didn't see him on national TV, and I see why he did what he did. Because as a ref,
I have the raw footage. It wasn't doctored up.
The ref protected the house fighter.
Real time. Half of Dubois' glove was on skin, half was on the trunks. That's a clean body shot.
I don't understand.
Bro. That's a clean body shot. But that's another topic. But how do you see it playing out?
I see it playing out Daniel Dubois overcoming Alexander Usyk. And honestly, it really, in my spirit, my brain tells me to go to Alexander Usyk and his boxing IQ. But with all due respect, the role Daniel Dubois is on, you got to realize, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this is that moment.
And this is what Malik doesn't understand in the sport of boxing. Sometimes in the sport of boxing, to even have a chance to win, you have to be delusional. You have to believe you can win. When others say you can't win, even when they say Brian Norman gonna knock your boots off.
This is that cinematic movie moment. Road to redemption.
Malik doesn't believe against all odds. And you're talking about, oh no, you can't do it. Will you believe? There's a difference. It's easy to see when the grass is green. When you see the grass is green, it's being watered down. It's being taken care of by the gardeners. Pedro come every other Thursday. It gets taken care of, but it takes faith. When there's a wall and you can't see beyond that wall, you wonder what's going to happen if I go over this wall. It takes faith to face Brian Norman when he's been KOing everybody at 147 pounds when you're Devin Haney. But we know what we're doing.
You see how he brought it back to Devin Haney? I'm talking about Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois.
Alexander Usyk has knocked out Anthony Joshua when many did not believe at Wembley Stadium in front of 100,000 fans. He believes in himself. He's believed in himself when they told him he couldn't beat Flip Hargovich, the number one contender at the IBF. He believed for that when he won that interim belt. He believed when they had him face Jarrell Miller on the undercard and it was a first fight. And nigga said Jarrell gonna KO him. He believed. And now look what's happened. He has the IBF championship of the world. He believed when Joe Joyce KO'd him and he took a knee to protect his left eye because it was a detached retina that was broken. He had a broken orbital bone. And niggas called him a bitch. Called him a pussy. Because he took a knee. And look at this nigga now. Challenging for the undisputed heavyweight. I don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't believe in yourself and that's why half of you aren't who you are. The world counted this man out, called him a bitch, said he was soft. When he decided to protect himself. Now the tables are turned. I love how God uses men who people put down. God is good. And you know what the greatest story is? He's going to overcome Alexander Usyk, who's been propped up for this. God has blessed Alexander Usyk, but it is time to be overtaken. That's all I got to say. Daniel Dubois has been destined to win this fight is what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen.
This is going to be a great one to watch. I can't wait
the
for
Lord
this
has resurrected him, and he has not brought him this far to leave him.
I don't think nothing else needs to be said.
Don Charles has done a wonderful job and will continue. And he's a praying man, and that's when I knew, this can't. I even had to see nothing else. I saw it on the ground on the zone. On YouTube, but I said
we're gonna be here
I
to
know who
review
wins.
it next Sunday.
This
we're gonna
man,
talk about it.
This man said the horses came to him. They train on a farm. They've never talked to the horses. The horses always been timid, but the day of the fight, when they came to pick up their tools for work, the trainer said the horses came to him. That's the Lord. Who else would that be? That's the creator of Beast himself. This man right here has witnessed it all his life since he's met me.
Here we go. We gonna be back next week to review this fight, and I'm interested to see it now. He done sold me. Now I want to see it even more.
I'm a promoter, ladies
Daniel
and gentlemen.
Dubois, it's your time. You have been chosen. You are the anointed.
I know my fighters. When I choose my fighters, I don't just look at the skill and the will and the tacticalness and the technical depth and the boxing IQ and the footwork and the defensive responsibility. I look at the spirit. Who guides them? Who do they fight for? Why are you fighting? I've been in this business 31 years, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 31. November 10th, 2020. November 10th is when I started boxing. November 10th, 1993. I was born November 9th. That's when my lesson started. Holding the hands up. And the cradle. Holding the hands up right here. Not outward, right here. They don't understand, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joshua. I'm a warrior itself.
We gonna be back next week, man. Inside the Chamber of Truth.